Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Thursday. I hope your week is going great and everything's working out for you, okay? So today, I know I upload on Saturdays, but I just had to upload this video for you guys today. So I thrifted this pajama top for $2. Look at how silky and gorgeous this top is. I really fell in love with the color, but the sleeves on this were too short. It was missing a button, and I knew I would not wear this ordinarily in everyday life. No ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am.
Big no ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am.
But I've been seeing this Reformation top all over the place. It retails for $135, but it's currently on sale for $95, which is insane because that's still expensive for my broke ass. But I have been admiring Reformation. They're a sustainable fashion brand and their pieces are amazing. I would love to own some Reformation stuff sometime in future, but since I can't afford them at the moment, I decided to remake the Viviana top. So it's not exactly the same, it's more of an inspired top. As you can see, I have one less row of shirring, but I really love how this turned out, and this is something I would wear in everyday life. It's so breezy and easy, and the color, oh my goodness, I just love it so much. So in case you want to make your very own Reformation inspired top without spending the dollars, mostly because you don't have them, let me show you how to make one. First things first, you're going to seam rip away the pocket. I just used my beautiful seam ripper for this, and once that's off, it's time to draw a straight line. That way you can cut off the bit of fabric. So as you saw, I got one less row of shirring, and that's because my top was a bit too small. So I do recommend you cut off a bit more fabric. That way at the end, in case you have too much, you just cut it off. But I had to work with what I had, and after that was done, I just opened up the buttons, and after looking at this piece of fabric, I decided I'd get rid of the interfacing. So the interfacing is that white thing you see on the button sides. It's basically put there to reinforce the fabric and make it a bit more sturdier, but since I did not need that bulkiness in my top, I decided to seam rip it away. I also seam ripped away the buttons because they were so pretty and I wanted to keep them for a future project. So always recycle your buttons. Do not throw them away. You never know when they might come in handy in future, so definitely save them for later, just like that cheeseburger you've been keeping in your fridge. Okay, talking about myself. Anyway, after that was done, I just got rid of the interfacing on both sides, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of an even cutting. So I did the same thing on this side as well. I seam ripped away so that I'd be able to access it easily because she was in there, she was protected. She had people guarding her and I just had to get rid of them first, and after that was done, I just got rid of the interfacing, and now we have our piece of fabric that we can work with. So this DIY is super simple. I promise you, it's just a bit time consuming. So as you can see, for the top bit of my fabric, there's a bit of fraying. Okay, not a bit, a lot. So I decided to double hem that top bit of fabric, and basically to do this, you just fold in the fabric twice and do a straight stitch all the way across the top. This will keep the fabric in check. She won't be misbehaving and moving around and telling people your secrets without your approval, and that way the fraying is also kept in check and your clothes just last longer. In case you have a serger, which by the way, I got a serger. I'm so excited for you guys to see me using it. But in case you have a serger, just serge the edge and then fold it in and hem it as usual. But I'm so used to double hemming the fabric and it works best for me, so I decided to use that method here. Always backstitch, because if you don't backstitch, bad things will happen to you basically. So as you can see, that looks super neat, super gorgeous. I love this fabric. It looks so good. Anyway, now we're going to move on to drawing a lot of lines. Bear with me. So for the top bit, I did an inch from the top edge. I wish I'd done about half an inch because I feel like an inch is not too much. Looking back, I wish it was smaller. So it's definitely up to you, but I went with 1 inch and that's what I worked with. But I do wish I'd done half an inch instead, and the top would have been kind of an exact replica of the Reformation one, but hey, it's a DIY. It's not meant to look exactly the same. same. This is an inspired top, and as long as you love it, that's all that matters. So right beneath that line, I did 1/2 inch away. This is going to be your 2 rows of shirring. So I just did 1/2 inch beneath my 1 inch line. As you can see, I marked it out with a piece of chalk, and then taking a ruler, I just made sure to draw a line. So my lines were a bit curved here and there, mostly because this fabric was slippery AF. So it was such a beautiful fabric to look at, but sewing this was an actual nightmare. I'm not going to lie. Everything was slipping about. I couldn't get a proper grip, but eventually it worked out. So as you can see, I measured from the top bit, made sure it was going over my boob, and I came up with 6 inches. This was going to be the gap between the second row of shirring and the third row of shirring. So I do wish I'd made it a bit smaller, mostly because I had this bunch of fabric in between my boobs, and I just wish it was a bit smaller. So that is something I would have done differently as well. So I'm giving you guys tips. The thing with DIYs is when you go into it, you don't know what will work out, and you just come out to this thing and hope that everything will look fine. So I'm telling you guys to learn from my mistakes and just do some things differently. You are going to get a beautiful top. Just some advice I picked up when doing this DIY, and I hope that helps you. So as you can see, what I'm doing now is I'm doing the same thing, marking 1/2 inch from that 6 inch point, and I'm just going to draw a straight line. So basically we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. I'm sorry, I had to count because I am slow sometimes. Anyway, we're going to have 6 lines, and basically the first gap is going to be 6 inches wide, and the second gap is going to be 2 inches from this, which is what I'm about to draw. So as you can see, I'm marking out points at the 2 inch mark, and this is going to be the gap between the 4th row of shirring and the 5th row. So you can make it 3 inches, 4 inches, it's all up to you depending on how much fabric you have and exactly how big a gap you prefer to have. But 2 inches to me seemed fine, and I really loved it. I just wish I'd managed to get an extra row in, but it's fine, everything worked out. So as you can see, the last and final line is 1/2 inch from that point, and the gap between the shirring is 1/2 inch, and the others are 6 inches and 2 inches. I really hope you're not confused and you're following along with me. So after everything was marked out, I just joined the points with a line, and then you're ready to shirr once this is done. So now we have our bit of fabric, our lines are drawn out. This will just make our work so much easier when we move on to the sewing machine. And now to shirr, you're going to take elastic thread and wind your bobbin. So just wind it as normal. Don't make it too tight. Don't make it too loose. Just act like you're winding regular thread. I do have an in-depth video on shirring, so I'm going to link that down below in case you want to see it. So as you can see, that's my bobbin. Put it into your sewing machine. Cut off the excess bit of elastic thread. Replace your bobbin cover and just start shirring. So for this, I did not backstitch at the beginning and at the end. Oh my god, gasp! But the reason I did not backstitch at the beginning and ending of my sewing is because my elastic thread was very bulky. So usually your elastic thread can be a bit thinner, but the one I was working with was so thick and I just couldn't backstitch without it just looking too bulky. So I decided I'd just knot the ends as you're going to see me do. But in case your elastic thread is thin, you can just get away with backstitching and you'll be fine. I'll actually link some elastic thread I found on AliExpress, and it's pretty good, so I'm going to link it for you guys down below. So as you can see, I'm just guiding the fabric and letting the sewing machine do its thing. I'm not really forcing issues or making her do something she's not comfortable with. I'm just letting her be, let her roam wild and free, and once everything's done, as you will see, I'll have this beautiful row of elastic that's going to be gorgeous. So this is what I was talking about. I did not backstitch, I just ended up knotting the ends. If you fail to knot them, it can come undone and all your hard work will go to waste. So I definitely recommend you have some sort of reinforcement at the beginning and ending of your stitching. I'm just going to repeat this at each and every point to the line. That way everything is nice and gathered and we get that Reformation kind of smocked effect. So just slowly guide your fabric. There's no rush. Take your time, sip some coffee, enjoy life. I'm giving you all the angles today because your girl was so happy with filming this DIY. So as you can see, I'm just slowly guiding the fabric. I'm just letting it do its thing. I am in Zen right now, okay? I am Zen right now. I'm just letting the fabric be its own person. And once I got to the end, no back stitching, I knotted and I had my row that was beautiful. So once you do this at each and every point, you're going to have 6 rows of shirring, if I'm not wrong, and it's going to look so gorgeous. As you can see, those are my rows of elastic and super straight, super beautiful. And just take your time with shirring. I know it's intimidating, but I promise you it's super easy to do once you get the elastic thread right. Here I am doing the last row of shirring, and this is after I've done the previous 5 rows. So to finish everything up, just make sure elastic thread is popping and everything looks good. So as you can see, that's what our top looks like, and you're basically done with the premise of your top. By the way, I forgot to mention, when shirring, you do shirr on the right side of the fabric. I hope you guys noticed. As you can see, we have 6 rows of elastic. They look beautiful, and once you turn everything inside out, you have this. Now it's time to close up the top because obviously you want to be able to have this around your body. In case you don't, then it's a matter of preference. It's up to you, but I decided to sew up the side just to close everything up and have everything look nice and neat. At this point, you have to backstitch because the Bible says so, so I do recommend you do it. And just do your basic straight stitch on the side of your top. This will just close up everything and everything will be nice and decent and in place. This will also help lock the elastic thread in place in case your backstitching or your knotting is not that great. Once you sew over it, everything's going to be nice and in place. Once everything is sewn up, that's my stitch. But as you can see, the fabric is fraying on me a lot, and as I mentioned, your girl got a serger, so this thing is super fast. I'm still getting used to it, but it is the best thing ever. Frayed fabrics, I'm keeping them at bay for now, but in case you don't have a serger, just use a zigzag stitch on the edge of your fabric and it should basically serve the same purpose. So once you're done, you are done with making your top, and now it's time to move on to making the straps. So I used one sleeve for this, and for the rest of the top, I'm actually going to make a scarf because I love the fabric of this. So with that sleeve, I just split it open and also got rid of the cuff because I wanted to use it later, maybe for a scrunchie or something. After that was done, I drew out 8 straps, each about an inch thick. So I drew out 8 straps mostly because I had to join 2 pieces together to make one strap. As you saw, the Reformation top has very long straps and I was unable to get it in one sitting. So I had to make it work and had to join 2 pieces together at a time to make one strap. So as you can see, there are my 8 straps, and now to join 2 pieces together, I'm just going to put them right sides kissing. Do a straight stitch across the top point, and once that's done, your 2 pieces will be joined together and they will look something like this. So now you have your strap, and now it's time to make it. So with the right side inside, I'm just going to fold this over, pin it in place so that it does not move about as I'm sewing, and then just do a basic straight stitch on one edge. So you do have to have a turner to finish this strap, especially for thin straps. You can't just turn them around. You have to have a wire, a piece of metal or something that will help you just get them the right way out. So what I'm doing now is I'm just doing my basic straight stitch on one edge of my strap, and as you can see, I'm leaving about a 1/4 inch of seam allowance. That is because you don't want your strap coming undone from the inside once you're done with everything. So make sure there is a bit of space as you're sewing. That way everything will turn around nicely and you won't have your strap peeking and have those fraying bits come out. So as you can see, I have quite a bit of space between the edge of my fabric and my stitching, and this just makes turning things around so much easier. So I'd already done the first strap and I needed to do 3 more, so I got rid of the 3 others so that I could show you guys how to turn this the right way out. So this is a loop turner I'm talking about. I got mine for $1 off AliExpress. I'll link it down below in case you want to get it. But this thing is a game changer. Turning this strap around was super duper easy to do with this, and considering how thin this strap was, that is definitely a compliment. So I will link it down below for you guys. But basically all you do is it has this hook, you pass it through your strap, make sure the hook is attached on one end and you have a bit of fabric between your hook. As you can see, that's the bit of fabric I'm talking about, and now you're just going to pull the fabric through such that the right side comes out and you have a nice and beautiful strap. So I definitely took my time with this, mostly because I did not want my fabric to slip. As you can see, there's a lot of fraying happening, but basically this is going to go on the inside, which is something that you definitely want. And in the end, when you turn everything the right way out, as you can see, you get a beautiful piece of fabric. You can now get rid of the loop turner and just turn everything else just by pulling the fabric and turning it inside out within itself. So I just pulled and pulled and pulled, and after a while we had this beautiful strap. Look at how smooth and finished that looks. So those are my 4 straps. As you can see, they're very long, so joining the pieces together definitely came through. And now the last and final bit is to attach the straps to the top. I attached my straps 3 inches from the sides. So basically I measured 3 inches, pinned the straps in place, and after pinning I went to the sewing machine and sewed them down, and that's basically it. So just make sure they're the same positions all around, because you do want this to seem even and look pretty. So you're just going to sew along the points with pins. And now for the edge of the strap that's going to be out in the open, I decided to do a knot just to prevent everything from fraying on me. So once I'd done my knot, I made sure it was pretty tight and cut off the excess bit of strap. So as you can see, I'm just making sure she's tight, and after that I'm snipping off the excess bit of fabric, and now my strap ends are nice and finished and they won't fray on me. So after you've sewn down your straps, you are done with your top. This came out so gorgeous. As you see, I only have 2 rows of shirring at the bottom instead of 3, and that's because I wanted to have that flared effect at the bottom, and if I had added an extra row I wouldn't have gotten that. So definitely make your top longer in case you want to make it exactly the same as a Reformation top. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. It was so fun for me to make, and I hope you're going to try make this too at home. If you do, please do tag me in your pictures on my Instagram. I love responding to you guys trying my DIYs, and I love seeing you guys get crazy and creative with them. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me today. I really did enjoy your company, and I hope you'll be joining me in my next video, which will be pretty soon. Until then, can someone please loan me about $10,000 to go on a shopping spree on Reformation? I will owe you my life after that, I promise you. Anyway, see you next time. Bye.